The Revenant is kind of a hard movie for me to review, because it's sort of brilliant and worthy of massive amounts of adoration, but I only liked it. Director Alejandro Inarritu, sorry if my pronunciation is terrible, is obviously a complete master of his craft, and will no doubt go on to be forever in the pantheon of greatest film directors to ever exist. His work here, and the work of the incredible cast and crew of this movie, is exceptional, and I feel like I should love it. But I don't. Now, I'm not saying I hate the thing. I actually really enjoyed it. The film is, by all accounts, incredible. The simple premise of a revenge tale is stretched to new visual heights with incredible cinematography and some of the most demanding performances I've ever seen. In the movie, we follow Glass, a frontiersman played by that lovely Leo lad who is mauled by a bear and left for dead by his colleagues. The bulk of the narrative follows his painful crawl back from dead bear food to revenge-driven Revenant when he manages to survive his wounds and tries to make the demanding trek home. Now, before I get on to what holds the film back for me, let me just stress how great the stuff that worked was. To start with, the main thing I took from this movie is how beautiful it is to look at, and how well that juxtaposed with the dark themes and imagery of the rest of the movie. For as much as the story is all about big angry men who are all motivated by things like, here, this winter's minging, let's leave our boy to die, and grr, you left me to die, I'm gonna track you down and cut your bollocks off and wear them as a necklace, it somehow manages to never feel too gritty and cynical that it comes off as miserable. Yeah, the plot is pretty depressing, but the environments aren't, and neither is the picture-perfect way in which Alejandro's curious lens captures them in the awe-inspiring manner in which they deserve. Too many films fall trapped to this idea that a gritty real-world story needs to be shot with a moody real-world eye, and while that works some of the time, it often just makes things look boring and dreary. It's far more poetic and visually stimulating when bad things happen in beautiful places, and The Revenant gets this more than any movie I've seen before it. Also spectacular are the set pieces in this film. A small skirmish that occurs during the opening is perhaps the most brutally grounded depiction of conflict since the opening of Saving Private Ryan. The extended long shot doing a wondrous job of painting a truly dismal sight on top of a stunning backdrop. The performances of the cast and crew are also crazy commendable. Everything in the film that looks really super cold, which, spoiler alert, is the whole movie, was really as chilly as it looked. The director wanted absolute commitment to practical effects wherever possible, and so that meant everyone involved had to suffer for their art, especially Leo, who went through some shit for this movie. Like, hats off to the lad. Anyone who will get stark bollock naked in hypothermic level temperatures and chew on raw bison liver for a role is canny committed. I like to think he was so game that he was the one who suggested some of the more brutal stuff. Like, Alejandro was just standing there going, mate, you don't need to be naked for this scene. It's far too cold, lad. Look, your balls literally have icicles on them right now. Put some clothes on. And a naked and shivering Leonardo just stared back at him with cold, dead eyes, and in a firm whisper utters, the dick stays out. Now that's the good. But the film has some flaws that, for me, just managed to make me stop loving it, despite its phenomenal highs. For one, it's too long. I get that they really wanted to make something here that felt huge, but at nearly 3 hours long, there was points in the movie where I honestly got bored. I don't mind slow films, but there's stuff in this movie I just wasn't interested in that made the thing drag. While the main narrative was compelling, the B-plot, which followed a Native American who lost his daughter, felt like it was only there so that they had something to stop the movie just being Leo grunting through the snow for a couple of hours. But honestly, the grunting through the snow stuff was the best stuff. It didn't help that the Native American storyline didn't seem to progress at all until the final half hour. It was like you just kept popping in to check him every now and then. Like, yo, mate, just checking. Daughter's still missing, yeah? She is? Right, okay. Thanks, dude. The time these sections of the movie took would have been better reserved showing more of the relationship between Glass and his son, since he played a massively important part in the plot, despite only a small amount of screen time. The thing that really rubbed me the wrong way, though, was the characters. Tom Hardy's character, Fitzgerald, is bloody excellent. He's complex, layered, nuanced. Everybody else is honestly a little bit rubbish. Take Glass, for instance. The entire crux of the story is about his survival, and it's an easy one to get behind because the will to live is something everyone understands. We also want to see him succeed because he's essentially an underdog in this tale. I've said in past reviews I'm a fan of the vulnerable hero, and this guy can't even walk for a large chunk of the movie, so he's great to root for, but he isn't a good character. For those of you that have seen the film, try to describe Glass with attributes other than motivated by revenge and loves his family. Note that grunts isn't a personality trait either. Yeah, he's well acted, but that's the performance, not the character. I'm not joking when I say besides his will to live, I know next to nothing about the guy. I literally can't describe him. Fair enough, not wanting to die is enough to grasp on and follow his journey, but if we compare this to other survival film protagonists like Watney in The Martian or Aaron Caston in 127 Hours, he doesn't hold up. Where they were, between them, cocky, flirtatious, emotional, sarcastic, funny, and likeable. Glass is... well, I don't know what Glass is, and that's the problem. When the movie does try to flesh out his character, it also does it in the worst way possible, falling into Hollywoodized dream sequences, which inconsistently flick between hazy surrealism and completely grounded. These really didn't work for me. Despite my quarrels though, I'd still highly recommend it. Though the pacing is scattered and there's some narrative flaws, it's still a sight to behold if nothing else. The filmmaking craft on display here kind of needs to be seen, especially by someone with even a passing interest in film on a technical level. It's definitely worth watching, and pretty deserving of its Oscar nominations. I just wouldn't suggest you crawl through the snow stark bollock naked to get a ticket.